Well, coming up on today's show, news of 300,000 VW EVs built on their very first platform. Hyundai go racing with the Ioniq, and BMW unveil their e-racer. Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hello and welcome to the Tuesday, the 18th of September edition of EV News Daily. It's Martyn Lee here with the news you need to know about electric cars and the move towards sustainable transport. Thank you to myev.com for helping make this show. You can check them out for the first marketplace for buying, selling and learning about EVs. It's specifically built as well, so no wasting time on that one. Check them out. The world premiere today of the first hydrogen-powered fuel cell passenger train in regular service. Congratulations to Alstom. And, I'm kind of fascinated by hydrogen, not for personal car transport, because I don't have to go to a hydrogen station to fill up a car and pay a price that somebody else decides. Too much like buying petrol and diesel, thank you very much. But big hopes for it in terms of trains and planes and boats and things. Maybe batteries will do it, maybe hydrogen will do it, but I'm fascinated with it. So, congratulations to the first hydrogen-powered train today. If you're thinking about the Audi e-tron Quattro launch, that is about 3:30 in the morning in a couple of hours' time when that is going to be announced. It's pretty late in the day on Monday night, Pacific time, so that will be, when I get all the information, a separate bonus podcast if you're interested in what Audi are doing with the e-tron Quattro. Let me start, though, with the parent group, Volkswagen. They want 300,000 of their EVs being made every single year on the very first platform, the MEB platform. Let me start with some background on this. Actually, let me start with some pre-background and tell you I know exactly how you feel if you are still peed with Volkswagen. I follow so many American EV people, and there's so much strong feeling still about what Volkswagen did. Of course, in America, by the way, you may or may not know, the punishment was so much more severe because they actually had rules to break. In this country, they did nothing wrong, technically. And that's all I'm allowed to say. In America, I'm recording this in the UK, so by our laws, did nothing wrong. Of course, in America, there was the buybacks and the fines and all of the things involved with that, because there was actually a law there for them to break. Since Dieselgate, almost 3 years to the day, I think, since Dieselgate, I understand people's anger at them. But bear with me on this, because the world cannot be saved by Tesla alone. There are new rules coming in with the EU, so we actually have got far stricter rules. Definitely regulators have learnt their lesson. Really stringent rules coming in about CO2 emissions, and they apply to your entire fleet. So every single car you sell, if you're a car maker. For VW, that's a lot of cars. I should have looked up the actual amount of cars they sell per year. But it means selling a lot of EVs. It's going to dramatically lower the average fleet emissions if you can make a lot of EVs. If you don't make a lot of electric cars to bring down your average fleet emissions level, you get fined. And you get fined in Europe per car you sell in increments over how much they pollute. And those fines are enormous. It's just not worth it. It would be crippling. You can't do it. So that's why, in case you the background of this, that's why all these European companies are serious about EVs, but they keep saying the year 2020, because that's when they have to do it by. So today was a media day, where journalists got to go and look around the technical side of VW's plans. Volkswagen demonstrating the centerpiece of the MEB, what's called a rolling chassis. So you can see on the rolling chassis, it hasn't got any of the bodywork, hasn't got interior, well, there's 4 seats and a steering wheel to indicate where people are sitting. But all I can see is the 4 wheels on each corner and things like the suspension and the battery pack are underneath where people sit. And so it's even more than a cutaway. I love a good cutaway of a car. It's basically a rolling chassis. It's the campaign launched today, they called Electric for All. And VW are putting, they say, attractive models at affordable prices on the road and paving the way for a breakthrough in electric vehicles. Their words, not mine. Based on the modular Electric Drive Matrix, the MEB platform, a technology platform developed specifically solely for EVs. Now, production of the VW ID, the first series vehicle based on the MEB, is beginning in Zwickau at the end of 2019. And there was no mention, as far as I know, of Neo. Neo's the name of the first one, as far as I understand. I think that's been confirmed. I think it has. Well, the range on this platform is 330 kilometres based on the new European test cycle, WLTP, but optionally going up to 550 kilometres. So, starting at 330, going up to 550, that's a sensible battery pack size. And what do they mean by affordable? Well, they were specific on this when they're talking to journalists. By affordable, they mean that the MEB cars will be the equivalent of buying a diesel. So no massive electric premium on these. When you go to the showroom and you like it's not a Golf, it's called the Neo, but it's the size of a Golf, looks like a Golf, dimensions of a Golf, but it's not a Golf. When you go to buy the Neo, you can have a Golf diesel or you can have the Neo electric, and the price will be the same, as far as I understood that. It's a change for VW in terms of their typical drivetrains, in that VWs will be rear-wheel drive from now on, as standard. All-wheel drive is going to be optional. They're going to be made in Zwickau. Now, that factory is set for a production rate of 1,500 cars per day, and that's going to be only servicing Europe. By the end of 2020 is when they're going to ramp up to that production level. Anything they make on MEB, the platform is going to be made in that factory. Furthermore, the MEB platform is going to bundle, they say, Volkswagen's entire production knowledge of electric cars. It's not a platform for vehicles with combustion engines that have been retroactively modified. This is a platform designed on a blank piece of paper for electric. They say their phrase is uncompromisingly electric. Now, as one of the board members of VW put this, our Modular Transverse Toolkit already provide Volkswagen one of the most successful platform developers in the auto industry. Now, we're transferring this know-how to the strategy of the electric age. By the end of 2022, 4 VW brands will be ramping up 27 models around the world, ranging from compacts to lifestyle cars, something that's quite unique. So by 2022, 4 years' time, 27 cars from 4 different VW brands will be available for you to buy around the world. All members of the ID family, they say, are designed from scratch for fast charging. Using the fast charging systems, the battery can be charged to 80% in half an hour, thanks to a completely new, more powerful battery system, still being developed by Volkswagen Group components, but they are confident of hitting that target. Of course, they're a core part of the Ionity charging network. These are new chargers being built around Europe, and they're going to have 100 sites, or over 100 sites actually was the phrase. Each of those is up to 12 chargers on each site by the end of this year. So they've got some big plans. I thought they were going slightly slower, actually. I thought there were kind of a handful of them built by so far, but I gather more than that have been turned on in recent days and weeks. Up to 350 kilowatt charge speeds on the Ionity network. So, in summary, by the time these cars start to enter production, I reckon the pre-production cars this time next year, so July, August, September next year, production by the end of 2019. That's going to be 4 years since Dieselgate. And whilst the legal and financial consequences are going to go on for many years, out of the disaster that was Dieselgate, the world will get a €30,000 mainstream family car being produced at a rate of 300,000 per year that will take on Tesla and make Teslas better, and Tesla will make all the others better. So I know, I'll go back to the beginning of what I said here. I know there's still a lot of hatred out there, and I get that, lots of anger, lots of heat still, especially when you go on the internet, that's full of heat. However, it works, I think it works both ways. Tesla are forcing these companies to make great EVs, and in turn, by then, the Model Y will be on sale. Interestingly, this time next year, on the roads in the UK, I hope to be seeing Model 3s, because we know that it's been said many, many times, right-hand drive Model 3 cars will go into production summer 2019. That timing is going to be fascinating to watch. Tesla have an opportunity to beat VW to market by a good 6 months in Europe, 6 to 8 months with right-hand drive models, and it's theirs to lose at the moment. VW have set their stall out, and, presumably times don't slip. That's how it's going to work out. I'm going to put a full link to that article, which was on VolkswagenNewsroom.com in the show notes if you want to have a read for it yourself. Lots of corporate stuff in there, but you can sift through all that. That's the highlights and fascinating technical insight into this new platform that VW's cars, the VW brand cars, are all going to be built on. And I would say as well, it's an interesting way of doing it because, as I've talked about on the podcast before, Daimler, the Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, Hyundai Motor Group, so Hyundai and Kia, are doing it differently. They have platforms like the Kona, like the Nero, and like the Mercedes-Benz cars, they sit on a platform and will be produced in factories where different drivetrains can be swapped in according to what they need to make that day, that week, that hour, maybe, that car on the line. Do we put a combustion? Are we going to put a fossil in this or an electric drivetrain? That's one way of doing it. And VW are doing it Tesla's way, which is start again with a blank sheet of paper. Two entirely different concepts, both of which I can see working. There's no right or wrong, is there? It's just our way of doing it. So that's going to be fascinating to watch as well as you and I go on that journey over the next few weeks and months of watching that progress. I'm so excited. You can tell I'm so excited about another company in the world that has the ability to scale and do 300,000 cars a week from that a year from that one factory. Much as this quarter, the Model 3 is probably going to hit 50,000, maybe 55, but probably 50,000 Model 3s will come out of Fremont this quarter alone. And in terms of the Fremont factory, the total capacity of that is it 500,000 to 600,000 cars when it's at capacity every single year. So that's fascinating to watch. It's a bright future. I'm so excited. Right, let's move on to Hyundai. They're joining in with EV racing. I was recently talking about a racing series that I'm looking forward to, the I-Pace E-Trophy, the new Formula E Rallycross in 2020. Man, that's going to be insane. But I missed one out. Thank you to George Hartley. Now, George is in San Francisco, one of the patron supporters of this show on patreon.com/EVNewsDaily. He emailed me and he forwarded me this article. Hyundai are going to get into the racing scene by preparing one of their Ioniq electric cars to go racing in the Optima Ultimate Streetcar Series, which is later this year. I hadn't heard of that. I'm going to look it up. The outward signs are big flared wheel arches and big wheels with 275mm width semi-slick rubber on. However, if we look under the skin, it gets super interesting. Hyundai's engineers have taken out the stock motor in the Ioniq. Not up to the job, I'm afraid. They've nabbed one from the Kona production line, and they're putting the Kona motor into the Ioniq. That ups the power from 118 to 201 brake horsepower, and it's light. It's a lightweight package. Loads of instant torques to call upon. As well as doing some funky racing things with limited slip diffs and brakes and springs, the next challenge for all EV racing series is how do you manage temperatures? Well, Hyundai have thought of that. They've upgraded the radiator and the pumps for a water-cooled AC condenser to keep the cells not too hot, not too cold. Well, it's an interesting lesson in how to extract performance from an EV. We're forever being told that Formula One is the pinnacle of motor racing. I love Formula One. And how car makers use the technology in Formula One to filter down to road cars. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm still waiting for a little flappy DRS rear wing on the car that I drive every day. Hyundai are definitely, no doubt, taking the lessons they learned from this, though, and putting that into application with their next-gen EVs. And we can move on to talk about BMW as well. BMW's unveiled their first fully electric Formula E race car. The BMW iFE 18 is going to join the Formula E Championship on the 5th of December when it kicks off again. BMW says the drivetrain was developed using the expertise of the same engineers that designed the BMW i3. For the drivers of the car, Portuguese Antonio Felix da Costa and Brit Alexander Sims racing for them in the new series. Season 5. BMW themselves said this, and I quote For BMW, it's the perfect test lab for production development. The technology transfer between motorsport and series production is intense. Our experience from series production benefits the drivetrain of the race car. At the same time, insights from Formula E will flow directly into the development of future series production drivetrains. We are looking forward to a great racing season. Well, BMW's expertise in Formula E is primarily in the heart of the vehicle, the drivetrain. According to BMW's motorsport director, he's called Jens Marquardt. He says, we told the production engineers designing the electric motor and the inverter, forget about all the considerations you would usually have in development. Just think purely about performance, great efficiency, the lowest weight. When we've reached that point, you can then think about how to integrate it into series production. Our BMW Motorsport engineers, he says, designed the rear axle, including suspension, and had to integrate the drivetrain into the rear end of the race car. The knowledge we gain in this highly competitive environment flows straight back into development of their road cars, the perfect implementation of from racetrack to the road, which is their motto. I'll put a link to the BMW blog article in the show notes. Well, Elon's been tweeting. He's been busy. And don't worry, everything's fine. Elon's been tweeting about his latest, greatest issue. Logistics hell, we'll call it. Megan Gale is on Twitter, and she asked him this. There are 42 Teslas sitting at the Union Pacific Railroad, and my car is one of these. I've been told I was getting it on the 8th, the 15th, and the 20th, then the 22nd, and now delayed indefinitely. Elon Musk, please make it right, she said. Elon saw her tweet. He replied with this. Sorry, we've gone from production hell to delivery logistics hell, but this problem is far more tractable. We're making rapid progress, should be solved shortly, he said. Well, I'm reminded of an old interview where somebody asked Elon on YouTube if he liked doing his job. I'm paraphrasing, it was a question like that, and he said he had to remind the reporter his role is to be in the place where the things are worst. So his entire life is surrounded by problems. Production now, though, seems relatively fixed. We're on for 50,000 Model 3s a quarter. So, would he hang around General Assembly, patting himself on the back? No, if that's working well, he'll move on to the next big problem and the next big issue, logistics. It's a nice problem to have, unless you're waiting for your Model 3. Well, speaking of priorities, service and parts is a big focus for Tesla at the moment, and Elon's been tweeting about this as well. And I quote, Tesla is bringing most collision repairs in-house, as outside firms take weeks to months for repairs, driving Tesla owners crazy, he said. And there's been a bit of kickback on that because other people say, well, look, these outside repairers are just waiting for the parts, which you need to give them. So people took him to task on Twitter, and he replied, well, Tesla's been using third-party body shops up until now, and of course they've got to make a buck as well, so they're in business. So layers of profit get added. So Tesla said, we're doing it ourselves. It's time to take control. I told you recently about the first wave of 9 Tesla body repair centres opening up in the US. Seems to be going down very well. One of my favourite YouTube channels, E for Electric, well, he's always talking about his own Tesla and the parts availability, griping about the aftercare. So it needed, I don't have a Tesla myself, but it clearly needed to be sorted out if you do have a crash, an accident, a wreck, or just a regular fault. Quinn Nelson was the next user on Twitter who asked Elon this. I thought the inability to supply parts to those repair shops was the issue. Elon Musk replied, outside repair shops are jack of all trades, which means supporting thousands of makes and models. Tesla Collision Repair specialises in 3. Having all parts in stock and not waiting for insurance approval makes a world of difference, end quote. Well, I guess there's a consideration there which I'd never thought of, which was the insurance claims. And insurance companies will be really hammering those third-party garages to lower the cost as much as they can. An insurance company says to Tesla, you've got to lower your cost. Tesla's going to say, that's the cost. If you walk into a Tesla service centre and try and haggle them down on the price of a new car, they'll say, that's the cost. So that'll be interesting with insurance companies. Scott Velasquez asked him this. Part of the delay, from what I've heard personally, is the time to receive the parts from Tesla. Perhaps this could be iterated upon. Elon replied, yes, that's our problem. Service and parts in general will be the top Tesla priority after we get through the insane car delivery logistics of the next few weeks. So lots being done in that area. One of the things I've seen over the years, when Elon, I think I've noticed this, I think lots of people notice this, when Elon takes personal accountability for a specific issue, it gets nailed quickly, right? And yes, sometimes that's meant over the years that high-level members of staff have taken a holiday and never actually returned. It's a great sign for Tesla owners who need that service improved. Talking of Teslas, and red ones specifically, are costing more. Tesla's paint colours were whittled down over the last couple of days to ramp up production, but now they're upping the price of their iconic Tesla Red. According to Sasha for Mashable, the red multi-coats went up to $2,500 over the weekend just gone. It used to be $2,000, and it used to be $1,000 when the Model 3 first launched. A Tesla spokesperson gave us this statement. We occasionally adjust pricing and available options to best reflect the value of our products and to streamline manufacturing operations. Yesterday's adjustment to our red multi-coat paint is the latest example of that. I like the idea of just having an adjustment. I might go to my boss, ask for more money tomorrow, and say, I regularly make an adjustment, and see how well that goes down. Now, not only do you have to pay more for the red paint, the only colour you can get is solid black with the base car. The pearl white is $2,000, the blue and silver are $1,500, and other cars like the Nissan Leaf, not really in the same league at the moment, but other electric cars you can buy, you can get whatever colour you want for no additional cost. I think with the Kona, the Hyundai Kona, at least the base colour is it white or black? That's that, and then I think you have to pay for the metallic options. Not too. It's like $500, not or £500. Last time I looked on the configurator for the Kona, it's not that much more. Finally, I like this story. A Pebble, a Pebl. Now I own a Pebble, but it's a watch. I got it on Kickstarter years ago. I bought 2 or 3 Pebbles off Kickstarter. I love supporting things on Kickstarter. Of course, these days the Pebble watch has all been bought up by what was the other one? The other smart watch. My wife's got one. Anyway, Fitbit. Yeah, so Fitbit bought Pebble. No, this is the Pebble bike. It's by Better Bike, and it's a new, they say, and exciting, and we'll come to the word exciting, type of zero-emissions vehicle that combines the comfort of a small car but the benefits of a bike. You see, it's got bike tyres, and it's designed for 4-season use, they say. The Pebble is on 3 wheels, 3 bike wheels, that would be, and it uses a combination of pedal and electric drive power, and it's got a body around it as well, according to SIA magazine. Using a combination of pedal and electric drive, the Pebble is actually, legally, a bicycle. Even though it's got a top speed of 20 miles an hour, it's a 3-wheeler, and it says you have features that you would find on a small car. The Pebble has a lithium-ion battery that'll do 25 miles without pedalling and can be charged in around 3 hours. It can hold enough batteries to go over 100 miles on one charge if you want to. So this is a bicycle. It's a 3-wheel bicycle, like a tricycle, but with a sort of, I don't know, it's not carbon fibre or fiberglass, but some sort of body shell all around it, with either some perspex or glass in it as well. So you're completely enclosed, one person, sitting down, like a reclining bike, and you're pedaling. I'm not sure they say pedaling, really. Maybe you're pedaling. I'm not sure it has the comfort and utility of a small car, but I'll put a link to the YouTube video where I found it in the show notes, if you fancy a laugh. Well, thank you very much to myev.com for setting this week's question of the week. If you'd be kind enough to answer this one on the YouTube comments or by emailing me, the email address is hello@evnewsdaily. There's a contact form on the website as well. Here's the question of the week. How was your EV buying experience? Did you go to a dealer? Did you haggle on price? Did you get a lease? Was it used or new? What are your successes and fails? Tell me your EV buying experience. Thank you to the 80 patrons. Yay, one more. 80 patrons of the podcast who helped me make this show. If you get any value at all, I always say 2 things. If you get any value at all from the podcast, do 2 things for me. Write a review and share it. Online, Facebook, Twitter, with somebody you know, in a comment section of a Twitter conversation. Have you guys checked out this podcast? Only if you think it's worth sharing. The entirely optional thing is checking me out on Patreon, where there's 238 episodes of this show. It's free. Get them where you get your podcasts from. And if you want to catch up on the socials, search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. Check out the Audi e-tron Quattro special that's coming your way, hopefully in the next couple of hours. Have a wonderful day, though, and I'll catch you tomorrow.